Welcome everybody to the see. This is September. Yes, monthly meeting of the Division 5 of the Lone Star region of the NMRA. Tonight we've got a special clinician all the way from Colorado, Greeley, Colorado, tonight. So we'll look forward to hearing from her. Kind of. Since the last meeting, let's see. I'm trying to think of what news we have here. Well, a couple things. The Plano Train Show I know is coming up in a few weeks in Plano. If anybody likes to go to that show, that's one I frequent when I can. So I think that's October 1st, that weekend up there. So that should be a good time if you need to go to that. The registration is open for the 23 convention in Grapevine, so be sure to register early for that, and get that way you can sign up for tours and clinics and modeling with the masters. That's something I signed up a little late and missed out on, and wish I was able to do some of those at the national this year. I think with that, I want to open the floor up. We got a good crowd in here. Anybody got anything that they've been working on or want to share? Do a little show and tell right now, or questions or anything that we can have other people answer.
Yeah, Brooks, I have 3 or 4 pictures I'll be glad to show.
Okay, go ahead. Should be able to share your screen.
Okay. Let's see here. All right. You see that?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think maybe I showed at a previous meeting, I've been working on adding this section to the layout, which is an addition to give some distance between 2 other areas in this sectional layout. Has some scenery with a trestle and a mining camp area. I had made some progress on this, posted this photo. It appears in Model Railroad Hobbyist this month. And since then, I've been trying to fill in the scenery here, trees, things like that. And so you can see from that photo to the next, it's kind of the same photo angle, but working on a number of trees, trying out these super trees that you can get kit for. Tried some techniques with clumps of static grass using this boomer diorama technique to make clumps out in there. So giving it a little more texture. So that's been coming along. Still yet to get some water down in the creek there, but and then detail the banks of the area. But it's coming along. I got several structures done. Most of the scenery in place now on that corner. And then the other thing that I've been working on is Bernard Helen, who's the speaker for next month from Mini Prints, put a post out to work on a track plan for the Mini Prints studio, so that when people come over, they can see, there'll be a layout there, and he'll have, of course, some of his 3D prints painted and posed as part of the layout. But he and I have been working and iterating on a track plan for that area with the layout of the modules sort of predefined by him, including a little notch for the door to open. But that's coming along, and I was on his Mini Prints live every month program last month going through some of this. So maybe when he's on there next month, he'll tell us more if he's continuing along with this plan. But that's what I've got for this month.
Cool. That photo looked really cool there.
Yeah, it's coming along. It's outside corner, which is kind of tough to, make photogenic, but doing my best.
Awesome. Anybody got anything else?
Hey, Brooks, I've got something.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's more of an announcement. So we're having our first division meeting at Division 6, first division meeting in quite some time. I can't quite tell how long it's been since we've had one. We've been, as you probably know, Frolin has been running the socials program. here for the last couple of years, and he has put that on hold, and we're replacing that with official division meeting. And Bob here is helping me out with it. He's going to be one of my featured clinicians every month, and every quarter. We're gonna stick with a quarterly schedule. But anybody that wants to attend, we're going to be in San Antonio at the Longhorn Cafe on Nacogdoches Saturday at 11 o'clock. We are not going to have a Zoom feature, unfortunately. We just don't have the anybody with the technology and equipment and all that stuff. So we may do that at future meetings. We don't know yet. We'll see how it goes and who we can get to help sponsor that activity. So anyway, that's going. So things are looking pretty good.
Great. That's good to hear. Yeah, if you got email, if you want to send me an email with your like when you have your meetings and stuff, I'd be sure to share it and everything. So like to
okay, I'll do that during the meeting here. So
yeah.
It should be coming to you soon.
Yeah. And then also too, if you need help with the virtual, if you wanted to ever do a hybrid thing, I'd be happy to help you all out. Get something, see what kind of equipment and stuff you need for that. So
yeah, Brooks, maybe I'll talk to you offline about that one.
Yeah.
Hey, Don, this is Jeff. If you want, because from where you're located and where you're going to have your meeting, there might be several other people in other divisions that might be interested. If you will give me your information, I'll send it out as an email in the LSR.
Okay. Yeah. Very good. I'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah. I did get it on the NMRA calendar online too.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad to see the San Antonio division getting back going again. So it's good. Oh, good luck to you, Don, on all that coming up too.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I finally got some photos of mine put together here that I can share with y'all. This is let's see, find the right button here. So this is about the just a little couple photos I've done on this diorama that I've been modeling here, and I'll get this out of the. Let's see. Got to move all my windows around, covering it up. So here's when I was telling Michelle before the meeting. So here's the part of the burger stand that I'm building, and the little sign that I made to go on top there with that. And I built this about a month or two ago. I built this railing, scratch built this railing to go around this deck here, and this little brick pattern thing is came with it that's supposed to go under here, and it had peel and stick tape on it, but I hand painted all this brick and sealed it with a gloss coat, and was trying to do a panel liner on it to create shadow and depth in it to form the breakout lines. And in the process of doing it, the enamel thinner ate right through that clear coat, and so it kind of smeared everything into a really gray mess on one end. So I've since then stripped all the paint off of it, and going to airbrush it and try it again, and haven't got back to finishing it. This is I just stuck it in here to kind of show what it looks like, see how it looked in there. And so here's this one section here is looking down the main street here. This in this commercial shoot, the filmmaker that I'm working for, this is going to have a camera that's dollying back, like starting at this little house that the garage is just sitting right there on. There's the house that sits right here, so it's going to dolly back and then have some little vignettes, part of the burger stand with a little coronavirus mask sign, and so that was one reason I built the railing on there, just some place to put it, hold it up, and then there'd be like a water main break scene kind of about here, I think, where this end of the parking is on the store that's closer to the camera angle there, and when I was up in the national convention, I took some modeling tools with me. And so I'm trying to cut dog ears on picket fences, and I set up a jig on my Northwest short line chopper, clamped the little angles in there, and there's another angle here on the other side that's where I can slide the board into, and it's a stop, and then it was able to cut the dog ears. I don't have pictures of the fences actually built, and most of them came out okay. Some of them are a little askewed. When I did the tracings on it, and I was going to just glue them all on a piece of cardboard while I was there at the convention, or I had some double stick tape to hold it down. I got all the contour with a contour gauge, but then I failed to actually mark the vertical upright so I know where the wall is in relation to the ground. So, kind of little tricks like that you got to learn by doing it. So I've got to rebuild 2 of them. And then I actually had to move one of them back so the contour isn't right anyway. I started this wire tree last year when I first got this, started doing this, like talking to the guy about doing this deal. So I was real interested in like making trees. So this is the first one I did. I finished it about a month or 2 ago, or no, back in August. Yeah. So a month ago, I actually finally finished the twisting everything. So this has kind of taken me a year to do. Of course, it sat on my workbench for about 8 months, and I didn't really feel like finishing it. But so here's it all. Got a little piece of foam to put it on. These are woodland scenic armature trees. So I'm starting to. I've got like a bunch of kind of set up in my living room, so when I'm working on watching TV at night, I can sit there and do these trees. So these are very interesting and fun to build. I think they're the twist in the. I'll get back to this picture here. These are not in order. So here's a bunch of them. I twisted them all out, and I think I've got. Thought I had a picture of them. Well, y'all probably know how they start out. They're all flat, and I thought I had a picture of them. And so I twist them off, cut branches, so some of them are a little missing. A lot of them, actually, the branches went all the way down to the bottom, and pretty close. So, for O scale, really couldn't have anybody walk underneath them. And so I trimmed a few at the bottom, and kind of took the X-Acto knife and scratched up the trunk just to replicate the bark on it there. And then I'll put the Hobby Tack adhesive. And at first, I didn't really quite understand what this adhesive does, but watching some videos and seeing people do it, I thought, now I'll get it. So I picked some up at the hobby store one day, and man, this stuff, like, be careful. It's like contact cement. I'll be holding the tree and I'll have the other seafoam tree, or I'll be setting one down, and all of a sudden I've got another tree stuck to it. So, and you pull it.
Because I use this with classrooms of children.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It is terrifying sometimes because it's like in their hair.
Oh yeah. Oh, and then my pliers get stuck. Oh man,
everything gets sticky.
But it's the best thing to do, that put these little seafoam branches on, because there's been a few that I didn't get the glue quite right, or there wasn't enough glue, and so I just tried to do super glue, and I'm trying to hold it on there, wait for the super glue to dry, and it just seems like an eternity, even though it's supposed to set in like 30 seconds, and I never could get the thing to hold still enough to actually get it to set. So having this Hobby Tack on there is great. and then I'll go through with I've got like a little tube of the Gorilla Glue, and I'll just go and smear it against that just to hold it in permanently. And so I've got like probably I think I've got about those two, plus I've done 4 of these now. I got that one to do, and of course these I think are going to cover this little hillside thing. Possibly, I'm not sure if I want to maybe go to the polyfiber route, just trying to speed things up on that part, because I just need to cover them with a bunch of trees and they're going to be in the background. So not doesn't have to be super detailed, I think, but I like them for a little bit detail. I'll probably do super leaf on them. And so here's those little the view block pieces that I was showing at the beginning of the meeting before we started here. And then so I like to work with this pink foam, and I'm kind of learning techniques and stuff. So I'm building all the stuff out of this pink foam, all the curves, all the curbing. I have a hot wire foam cutter, so I was able to cut that on a diagonal to fit in there. Right now, I'm actually doing a sidewalk. So this little, I don't have a close-up picture, but if you can see my mouse, I've got on this corner, I've got this little crossing. I'm not sure what you call it. It's like the ramp that you come down, for a street crossing. So that I cut that, and then I shaved it with a knife, so it slopes down. And I hope to, when I can either make the file or find one, I hope to 3D print a little.
Access to my training. Of course.
According to your statement, Miss Addington, you didn't see anyone approach Mr. George during the pit stop.
That's what she told you.
I'm going to mute everybody real quick. See if I can.
My head was down. I was holding the car steady. I didn't see anything.
Okay, there we go. All right. Sorry, I couldn't find the mute because the screen's all different with this sharing going on. So anyway, so I've got this little thing. I want to 3D print the little, if you see the little texture dots that are actually designed to be braille, or they're braille for the blind. So like when you're coming up to either railroad crossing or street crossing, there are different textures for the person to know actually what's ahead of them. So I want to try to 3D print out a little one to stick in this foam right here, to be realistic. And then so I've got some curbing I want to do here and a little handicap ramp that goes here. I think I'll put handicap a parking spot right here on the left side of the angled parking, and then it'll go up into the end of this deal. This dollar store structure is a Menard structure. At first, I really didn't want to put this on there, but the guy that I'm building this for liked it because it was modern. And I wanted to just make this a big park because I thought, well, a park would go well in a neighborhood area. And I figured that would be easy because I could just static grass the whole thing and be done and put some few trees on it. So quick and easy. But no, he wanted this. So now I'm working on this. This back here is going to be the backside with the alley access. So I think probably put maybe a dumpster or two right here. All this area right here, I'm going to put Sculptamold in, and I'm just trying to get all the curbing finished before I do that. And then I was going to blacktop the foam here, but I may not sure how I want to do, if I want to do blacktop first or just do the Sculptamold. I think I'll probably just do the Sculptamold, then paint the thing black, and then I can go with the dirt and the ground covering over it so it looks like it's actually kind of flowing over the blacktop a little bit for the asphalt. The other thing I wanted to say about this model is when I got it, I was very disappointed with it, and being the kind of stickler modeler that I'm kind of turning into, a lot of this like wood, it's all built out of, it's like laser cut wood. The the floor is actually plexiglass, the base of this thing, and so there's like dowels for these wooden columns, but you can see all the wood. They didn't seal or putty these dowels at all. Probably really cheaply and easily, really quickly built in China. So you can see all the wood grain on it. So at first I thought, I'm like, oh, I'll have to pull all this apart and fix it, but I'm not sure how much I'll do. I'll see. I found some stuff from. I found 2 products actually recently. I had to order them because our craft store doesn't sell them. But this is a. See, hopefully it shows on my camera. I'm gonna have to turn my background off, I think. Yeah, it doesn't really show very well. So here's one that's from Liquitex. It's a ceramic stucco, and the stuff actually dries kind of clear. I think it's more of a medium, but it does have a sandy texture to it. So I think this actually might work really well for an O scale. Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe like coating this store with this stuff just to kind of help some of the I would say the shoddy craftsman work on it, but and some of the wood. And also I think I was watching a YouTube video or something about somebody making, and they were using this fine pumice gel. Forgot what it was, but this is another, I think would be kind of been looking for something to coat that foam with for concrete. It's really hard to see because it dries clear, so I think I could mix paint with it. But I'm thinking that might actually be pretty nice to coat all that foam with for the concrete, to kind of smooth out some of the dents and scratches that are in it and unevenness from the cutter. So anyway, I just got that like a couple days ago, so I'll see how that works out there. And I got a couple more photos, and so here's a sidewalk area that I'm doing. This is the first sidewalk I did. This is only 3 feet wide, and so I went online and I found a city planning thing or something about curbs and sidewalk widths and all that, because trying to be prototypical. And I was just going to do the sidewalk against this curb right here, and then I found this one that it showed a tree in the middle. It showed like a cross section of a street. The tree's in the middle, and there was like 5 feet, I think, or so of space, then a 6 foot sidewalk. And so it really got me. I was like, ooh, that'd be cool. I could plant, if I bump this sidewalk out, I could plant some small trees here, just to kind of be like a new, redeveloped area of the street. And I think that would help for when you're looking down the thing. With those trees planted there, it'll sort of act as a view block for that ends of the diorama too. So you don't go back and see like, oh, well, it ends right there. So kind of playing using angles there for that. And the sidewalk, I actually did it at 5 feet, trying to do compression on it. And this is actually a 3 foot area. So I figured that with the angle that we're shooting at, it probably would still look okay. And these little pieces, I cut those on that hot wire. But in the end of them, there's I actually routed using a router and a jig. I actually have it right here. So here's I made a little fence for my router. This is like a trim router, and then this has just a trim bit or flush cutting bit on the over there, and I had the thing set for a O scale 1 before, and just stuck it up there and just kind of bumped it around to get it to work, and then I was able to run the edges of those pieces of foam on it. So and my what I'm trying to do is so where I can put a piece of wood in there for an expansion joint in there, so it'll be wood in each of those sections there. So there'll be a groove. It'll just sit down in there. I'll stain the wood after I get all this painted and then just pop them all in there. So, and then here's been kind of working on my 3D printer. A lot of the resin is works really good if it's at a certain temperature, and I actually keep my workshop kind of cold because I have a storage server over here, and so it's like usually try to do 70 degrees or so in here, and resin gets kind of thick and not as viscous with it that way. So they say that between 80 and 85 is a good temperature for it. And I don't want to heat my workshop up to 85 degrees, so to print things. So I found some guys doing little heater blocks, and it's just a little. It's called a Petlier block, but it's just got some devices in there. You apply power to it, and it produces heat, and then the heat sinks are on there to take the heat off. And I found this print on Thingiverse that a guy made to fit that. And this actually for a Photon. I have the Photon SE. Pretty similar in the case. There's a few differences in this printer. It's actually got dual Z rails on the back of it, and instead the Photon just has one. And I think it's got a 2K monochrome screen as well. So a little more upgraded from the just the regular Photon. And of course, I hate, I really don't like these separate power supplies that they came with, and I needed 12 volts for this block. So I just got this Meanwell power supply on Amazon and mounted it on the back here. And I don't have an IEC input connector, so this is a PowerCon connector that we use on like lighting and audio, video stuff. And so I just cut the hole out and mounted that thing in there and whacked it in on my cord. And so now this thing is all powered through that, and rewired the switch where the 12 volt comes in. That switch provides power for the printer and the heater block. And then there's another switch on there sorry, I forgot. That switch actually switches the 110 that's feeding the power supply, so the power supply is not on all the time. And then out of that, there's a 12 volts going into the control board in there, and then 12 volts going to the heater block on there. So that's what I've been up to. I've kind of think I've got a lot here, so I'll let's see. I need to stop it. There it is. Stop button there. So anyway, has anybody got anything else that they want to share now that I've shared a lot? So okay, I think with that we'll welcome Michelle to the meeting tonight and have her present the clinic. So we have Michelle Kempema. She's the director of the Colorado Model Railroad Museum in Greeley, Colorado. And I think I'll just let her take it with the presentation. I mean, you can tell us the rest about it. So,
hey, everybody. I think I want to start with asking where everybody is. Has anybody been to the museum that's on here?
I have not yet.
All right. I try to gauge the audience so I don't bore you to death if you're all like, yeah, we already know this stuff. Or if you don't know much, then I kind of start at the beginning and tell you the stories. So if you guys are good with that, I'll just start. I put two presentations together. So if you guys are done when we learn about the museum and you don't want to learn about maintenance, we can stop there and I can come back another time.
And do you prefer having questions during it, or do you want to?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's just have a conversation. Right. This is a small room of people. I like it. So just if you have a question, just shout it out. I'm super casual. So.
So y'all can just unmute yourself and feel free to ask away.
Feel free to jump in and ask questions. And sometimes I forget to explain things because I think, oh yeah, everybody just knows that. And so please ask it anytime. So now I got to figure out how to share screen again. So let's see if I do it right. And then I hit this little button. All right. Does everybody see my
Yep.
slide? Did I do it right? Okay.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Yep. There you go. Yep.
All right. So I am Michelle Kempema, and I'm the executive director of the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. And the museum is a 501c3 nonprofit. And we do have a mission statement. This is what we do. And everything we do filters through these two statements right here. Does it educate people, inspire people, and bring joy to people? And joy is what we're all about, especially at Christmas. We had the word joy all over the museum just for fun too. Like, I've bought the word joy in so many different ways. You guys need to 3D print me some too and send me another joy so you can have a different one. So we also have a vision that is talking about using model railroading for creative purposes. And this allows us to do some really crazy things. Like, we did Lego Mission to the Moon. And everybody's like, what does that have to do with model railroading with our kids? And it does, because the kids were like, well, you have to have a train on the moon because people need public transportation. And, but it allows you to be more creative and for us to support. So maybe you're a painter and that's the only part you like about this hobby, but maybe there's something really cool you do outside of model railroading with painting, and then we can expand on those things. So our vision statement is to use model railroading for an avenue of human creativity. This is the man who founded our museum, Dave Trussell. And you might have seen him. He's been in magazines throughout time with his modular layouts. The Denver Greeley in Tahoe was his first modular. It was a 60 by 60 foot square. And he took it to, I need to figure out what year. I'm pretty sure it was either 1999 or 2000. And he took it to the National Train Show and he won like the best in show. And so then he couldn't compete anymore. So that's kind of how we got the museum, because he got bored. So it was good. But Dave was a lifelong modeler. He had Lynn Westcott's book, 101 Track Plans. I'm sure you all have seen that book. And if you go to the next to the last article in there, in the book that they published about Lynn Westcott's track plans, there's one that says if I had $1 million. And Dave took it as a challenge back in the 1950s. He's like, I'm going to raise $1 million and I'm going to build the ultimate model railroad, because that's what Lynn Westcott said could be done if he had $1 million. And so Dave pretty much challenged himself to do this. And he was a newspaper publisher, and he would put ads in some of his publications and say, I'm going to be somewhere on these dates, like a cafe in Oklahoma. And he'd plan a little road trip through Oklahoma. And he'd say, bring your model railroad and your railroad items and I'll buy them. And so these farmers would all come out and have coffee with Dave. And he would buy and sell stuff, mainly Lionel trains. And that's how he funded our museum. So this is a picture of Dave. We were featured in Model Railroader in November of 2008, even though we weren't open to the public yet. And so this is what these photos are from that article. And so I just thought I'd show you that. This is a picture I took of Dave in 2011, my favorite photo when the 844 stopped outside the museum. Dave was kind of brilliant and put our museum right on the UP tracks that go from Cheyenne to Denver. So if Union Pacific is going to Texas to see you guys, it stops at us, either coming or going. So when you get to see it, we get to see it. I took this picture though, and I love this picture. And a lot of people are like, where's Dave? Did he pass away? But he didn't. He honestly actually retired and succeeded at retiring instead of retiring and working full-time on a model railroad. So he made us a nonprofit, donated everything into this 501c3, and now he's truly just a volunteer. And he moved to Pennsylvania because his grandkids are there. So he lives right next to the Strasburg Railroad. He's between Strasburg and Lancaster. He's watching his grandkids grow up, and he's happy. So he did it right. He didn't do what we call founderitis, where somebody builds a model railroad and they don't make a sustainable plan. And then they pass away and their family goes, what are we going to do with this? So Dave did a really good job of building something and then making it something the public could experience and share from there forward. And that's what my job is, sustainability. So let's talk about what we have. So Dave traveled the world and looked at model railroad layouts for his whole life. And he went to all the major museums, and he learned a lot of lessons and things that he liked and didn't like. And so when you come into our museum, we have really wide aisles. He hates being crowded. So he says, I'd go into somewhere and they built this amazing place and they've crammed so much track in it that people can't fit in it. And so our aisles are like 6 feet wide or wider. And he also did not like plexiglass that goes way, way high because he felt like he wasn't part of the layout. So our plexiglass is about 6 inches high, just to give you the feel of don't touch this, but go ahead and lean in and be part of this world. And so you'll notice that on our layout. He just went to a lot of places and learned a lot of lessons, is what he called it. And then he came and built what we have today. So we have the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. And we were originally the Greeley Freight Station, by the way, if you ever heard that. He originally named it the Greeley Freight Station, and his plan was to build this layout and clubs would come and operate on it, and then he would give it to the city when he died. That was his plan. Well, the city went, what? They didn't know what to do with it. And so we started having some meetings when I came into the picture. And then when I started working in tourism, the Greeley Freight Station tells you nothing about what we actually do for the general public. And people get freight and the word fright mixed up. And they would think we were a haunted house. And then locally, they put us in the phone book under freight forwarding with FedEx and UPS. And so nobody could find us. There was all sorts of issues with the name Freight Station. So we did a lot of research, and the board changed the name to the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. But we house the Oregon, California, and Eastern Railway. And the reason that we house that is because Dave's first newspaper, he's a newspaper publisher, was in Lakeview, Oregon, and he watched the OC&E Railroad, and he always wanted to build what he thought it should have become, because it actually was purchased by Weyerhaeuser, and today it's a hiking trail. And so he built a layout of what he thought the OC&E would have become had it just been able to flourish. So that's what we have. So let's look at the OC&E. I learned, so when I started here, I thought Dave was a prototypical modeler. I thought he was the ultimate prototypical modeler. And then I went to the real OC&E this year. Dave's a freelance modeler. So the OC&E has 15 bridges and the real one has 3, and they're little tiny. But Dave liked building bridges, so his OC&E has amazing bridges. And I love that he did that because it really is a beautiful scenic layout. So I'm totally good with it being proto-freelance. So we have 15 bridges, 12 tunnels, a few towns scattered throughout. We're a logging railroad, and we show the logging industry from going. We have a train that goes up and gets the logs, takes them to the sawmill. From the sawmill, they go to redistribution at Weyerhaeuser. And from Weyerhaeuser, your finished product, your 1-bys, 4-bys, whatever you've ordered, they go either to the trucking facility or they go to the ships where we export them. So it's kind of fun that we can work with kids and talk about economy and how does a product move via rail and truck. So we can show that. This is our staging yard. This is one end of it. The 7 trains that you see here, minus the 1 SP locomotive, when I took this picture last week, it had one in the shop. So we got one down here. But these 7 trains that are facing us are 7 trains that have jobs on the OC&E. And at the other end, and it's hard to tell how far this really is, but this is like 120 feet away, the other end, there's 7 trains there, and all 14 of them can be on the layout at one time. The shortest train on here would have about 50 to 60 cars, and the longest train has 110 to 120. And it changes because we do switching with these trains, and sometimes people will leave a few more cars or not. We don't do car cards. We're not that specific. And things change. It's a railroad. So I never know exactly how many cars are going to be on our trains. But it does take all the locomotives to pull it. It takes that kind of power because we have a 2% grade right in the middle. So, yeah. So our staging yard, the 2 tracks on the very, very right, they weren't originally there. You can see where the plywood's cut down on the lower right. I don't know if you can see my mouse. Yeah, right here. Dave thought he built enough. And then people started saying, well, I'd like to bring my train because this is the main right here. And so he had to add this, which made our walkway extra narrow. And then as soon as Dave opened the museum and I came along and I said, Dave, you know, I could actually monetize renting this building in the evenings. So I need a way to run trains when I'm the only one here. So we had this guy who wrote this amazing software, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But we needed a yard for the computer to control the train. So guess what we had to build? A staging yard on this side of the wall. See how we've just cut the wall out? And we built a staging yard over there with 4 tracks that goes the whole distance. So we still didn't build enough staging. So I don't think it's possible to build enough staging because I think you'll always find a reason that you need more. That's my thinking. Okay. So we have 3 ways we operate this railroad. And so I thought I would go through this for you. I don't know why I have to hit the button twice. We have what we call play mode, and play mode has this computer screen up, and each of these is one of our switches, and you can click here and change the switch on the computer screen, or you can go out and actually use the thing on the wall to flip the switch, right? Now, one thing we have to do is cover those with plastic, and I really should put a picture of one of those on the slide, because the public will mess this. If your switch is not covered and the public comes in, every child that walks to that building is going to go click, 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 click. So we have like plastic covers. They're not locked, but they're kind of hard to open, and nobody really messes with them because they realize they're covered for a reason. And so we really haven't had problems since we covered it. This picture over here, this is Dave Trussell right here. We're doing some filming. If you ever saw anything about our museum filmed by Bill Rogers, which this is Bill right here. Unfortunately, we lost him during COVID, and he willed his YouTube channel to the museum. And so all of his amazing videos about the museum are still there and will forever be there for us. So this is us filming up at the top of the railroad. And then down here is one of our cleaning trains. You can see we use these cars, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So we have docent mode. I talked about the computer program. It looks like this. And so basically the computer can pull 9 trains out. It'll pull 5 going one direction and 4 the other. You tell it what you want it to do, or you can stage some on the sidings in the layout, and then you tell the computer what trains you want it to pull, or if you put them on the layout, where they are, where it's supposed to get it. And then you tell it what direction they're going. So you have to be specific, or you can mess this up. So you have to tell the computer the data it needs, and then it runs beautifully. And so it runs them around, passes them around the staging, or around the sidings. And when you tell it, there's a button right here that says park in staging and park on layout, because sometimes I want the trains out because I have a tour coming and I want the trains just really already out on the layout. So I get them out and I park them in the sidings. And then at the end of the day, I hit park and staging. It takes about 45 minutes to put all the trains away. So you have to if you need to leave at a certain time, you better hit the button in time. This section right here is how the trains are controlled with speed. So this is your train number at the top. I know these are really hard to see, but what we have is its current speed and its approved speed. And so the computer gives it that feel of momentum by giving it very, very small speed steps over time. And so it gives it an approved speed. And when the train hits that speed, then it'll tell it what the next one is based on where it is on the layout. So the computer's constantly monitoring location and speed of the trains. And when it breaks, it really breaks, because if a train breaks in half, it suddenly has a train it doesn't know what to do with. And so it'll shut it down, and it'll tell you where it's detecting things. But it's fun and it's exciting, and it can be really frustrating. And there's no better way to learn the layout than to do this, because you have to go find things. And if a train derails on a switch or stops on a switch when you hit emergency stop, that's a problem too. And so it's interesting.
That program, you said,
Yeah.
Did you say it was custom written?
In Visual Basic.
Yeah.
In 2010.
I know like you and I've talked about it, but it's running on like Windows XP machines.
Yeah.
Too,
And they're separated. Never touch the internet ever.
I was gonna say, is there any way, or do y'all have any plans if for some reason that program crashes or just doesn't work anymore? Or have y'all looked at other things to maybe that might be able to take its place, or do you think there is?
Well, that's the question that I'm always asking you guys.
Yeah.
And they tell me if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We have 5 of these machines, 5 mirror image machines.
Oh, wow.
So Randy's like, we're good.
For now.
For now. I'm going to show you guys the machines later. I put those slides in the maintenance part at the end.
Okay.
But this is down here, this is that staging yard that we put down by your feet. So the public can't go in this area anyway. So we went ahead and put that staging yard down here. And so this is the computer tracks where it pulls from and parks in. And it's 3 trains deep. So the 9 are staged on 3 tracks, if that makes sense. And then if you need that 5th one to go another direction, you have to put it on the layout. So anyway, that's how it works. And that allows me to bring groups of people with nobody else in the building but me. So it gave us a lot of flexibility to have group tours during the week and evening events and things like that. So then, of course, we have a CTC machine. And during COVID, they taught me how to dispatch. It was really fun. So that's me down here dispatching. So this is Randy. He wrote that Visual Basic program. This is Randy. He's one of our lead dispatchers. Our CTC machine is an authentic machine with our own railroad put in it. We bought the knot. Like somehow Dave found a used parts and stuff and put together the whole machine. So on Fridays and Saturdays and some Sundays, if we have enough people and dispatchers, we actually dispatch the railroad for the public. It is my favorite thing because you get the sound that goes with it. See how the guys have their radios in here? So, you know, dispatch 225, 225, go ahead. I'm requesting clearance for entering Chiloquin yards. And, you know, so there's all this thing that the public can hear going on, and then they can talk to people about what they're doing. And do you see our plexiglass? Oh, look at that. It's really short. And that's partly so you can switch in here, but it also gives people just enough of a barrier to know not to touch, but yet they can be part of the world. So. Okay, so now I'm just going to do like a quick pictorial around the layout so you can kind of see what it looks like. So when you come out of the Fairport yard and you head into Lakeview, this is the western end of the railroad and you're heading east, although this train is heading west into the staging yard, but this is where you come out. We have this cantilever bridge. It is not functional right now, but we own a brass version that we could make functional. So that's possible growth on the layout if somebody wanted to do it. When we first had our first double stack train on here, because Dave built this to be prototypical to 1975. So there were no double stack container trains on this layout. And when we brought one, we had to take about 2 millimeters off the bottom of this model for it to fit. So we had to do a little work on it. This is the town of Lakeview. I took this picture last 3 weeks ago, and we had just added this one right here. We put in the roomette. If you've done any of the roomettes, it's a kit that comes, it goes with a lot of Woodland Scenics and Walters buildings. It's a separate independent person, and they're called roomettes. And they're these awesome little kits that you put inside, and they come with their own lighting and everything, and they fit really nicely in the buildings. And then this one is that new Woodland Scenics appliance store. And so that was kind of fun. Everything else is pretty much custom. This one right here, I wish I'd gotten closer on the picture. We customed it to 1975. So we changed all the movies. And the only thing I've ever done for the layout permanently is make the movie signs. And in 1975, it was Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Jaws, and Return to the Pink Panther. Great movies. So that's our theater there. So this is the first town on the layout. And then you get over to our sawmill area, and we have kind of switching jobs out here that move the log trains around and pull out product, and lots going on around our sawmill. And then here's one of our little engine facilities out at the end of that peninsula. And we do keep a little shay around because, you know, most Oregon railroads have some sort of steam sitting around. So here's a picture looking down that peninsula. So you can see it's pretty deep. And then, so you can come out here and do work, or you can go back out on the main line. This is one of our lumber yards. We have a lot of lumber stuff because we're a logging railroad. We also have a doodle bug, and this is a job that someone can do if they want to take the workers up to the logging camps, or if they want to stop at the stations on the way. This is another job we have. And there were doodle bugs on the OC&E, so it's kind of fun. This is one of our deeper scenes. This is a bridge over the Shiwakan River. And as you're working your way up and around the layout, you go around a lot of these big peninsulas with deep, deep scenes. And so this section, you have to go over the mountain to get to that section over there. Here's another one of our water and rail scenes. So you're starting to go uphill. This is the lowest level. This is the second level. Here's the third level. And behind this is the fourth level of track. And here's that train continuing on around the mountain, which is 22 feet tall. So our mezzanine is up here and the mountain goes up higher than that. It's about 2,000 pounds of plaster. But it is structured well enough that it's hollow underneath and we can go under it. We can walk under it and there's some space in there, which is nice. And then here's a scene looking, it's a train coming at you, but looking the direction that other train was going. So it's just kind of the other side of the mountain and the river scene. And then this is our fire. And my next slide is a TikTok of this scene lit up. So if this is a bridge they go by, this scene right here is full of Arduinos, sound effects, and smoke effects. And so I made a TikTok, if you know what that is. It's the new social media site where things are filmed tall, which drives me crazy. But I put it on there and 100,000 people watched it and thought it was real fire. So I'm going to see if it'll play for you guys. So it's got rock music, so be prepared for that. So if it will play, this is what it looks like. So that's a TikTok. They're like 8 to 10 seconds. But so many people loved it. I thought I would share it with you guys. But that gives you the feel of the light and the smoke. And it's so fun. It's such a fun effect. So that happens in this dark area over here. And all that smoke will go across this hill. And there's the little firefighters. And so we have lighting all through here with Arduinos that look like the flickering fire. So just kind of fun thing. One thing we learned though is, underneath the layout is where the smoke machine is, and it has the little paddle that heats the liquid that makes the vapor. And the first time we tried it, it just all went under the layout. It just came out of the cup and went down. So we had to add a whole series of aquarium fans to pull that smoke up and get it to roll out onto the layout above. So just a little hint if you want to make your own. So this is the log turn. This is where you go up and get logs at the top of the mountain. And so this is called Gearhart Mountain or Quartz Mountain Summit. And we have a bunch of different trains that come up and tie up the whole layout when they're trying to pull these logs out and build their train. And then the empties come back. And so this is our snow shed. And again, you're seeing the top of the mountain from the other side that you saw it earlier. Dave custom built this snow shed one piece at a time. And he had to build it before he put the mountain over it, because you see how the plaster comes down over the snow shed. So you'll see later on, I have a series of photos of how it was built through time, and you'll see the snow shed appears before the mountain. And here's just another scene coming down the mountain. And you can tell we like our Southern Pacific, although there's a Rio Grande on there too. So this is the town of Derry. And this is a fun town. This is now we're on that second back area, and this train's about to go across what we call our high bridge. And these towns all have stories, and Dave was obviously a newspaper man. So he wrote these like Lake Wobegon stories for all the scenes. And this town has one where they push junk cars off a cliff every year at a festival called the Junker Jump. And so it's kind of fun that our towns and everything have all these backstories for them. So here's an aerial shot standing next to that town, which is now down here. And in this shot, you can see this train's going across the high bridge. And the end of the train went through a tunnel and is over here. Oh, I don't know, that's got the headlight. So he's going that way. And this is the DPUs in the middle. And so we have, you probably can't see it very well, but there's a layer of track down here. And then it goes here. And then it goes on that side. And then it comes out here and goes up here and goes around and comes up here. And then you're at the summit. And Dave liked those big scenes with layers of track on them. And so this is one giant helix with the reverse in the middle that messes with our guests because they think it's going to come out this direction, but it comes out that direction. And it's just kind of fun. And it's fun to stand in the mezzanine right above this and look down, because there's usually 2 or 3 trains in this area at any time. So here's the other side looking back at that high bridge. And down here, you can see better those lower tracks that come through. And this is the lowest level of the high bridge and the river. Dave is known for his water. This is 7 pours of a 2-part epoxy that's tinted darkest at the bottom to almost clear when you put the top one. And so his water is always just beautiful in photography. Although we have to keep it clean very, very carefully so we don't scratch it. We use a special cleaner. We get it at Ace Hardware. It's basically their pink plexi cleaner. And we use really soft rags to clean the water. This is just a scene of a crew change at our Weyerhaeuser yards. And then here's the Klamath Falls yard. This is just one little section of a big, big yard that we have in Klamath Falls. And then here's our engine facility on the backside of that yard, where we keep all our locomotives. So we run Southern Pacific, Western Pacific, OC&E, and that's what we started with. And then I came along and I said, Dave, where's the Union Pacific? It's right outside the building. Why don't we see those trains? And he crossed his arms. That's not prototypical. And I said, well, I grew up in Nebraska. I'd love to see some green and white Burlington Northern. I watched coal trains my entire childhood. I lived on the Powder River Basin, right? And so he's like, that's not prototypical. So we went, so this is 2010. We went an entire year, and a lot of other people asked Dave the same questions. And one day he came up to the office, my office is upstairs, and he said, I need to see you in staging right now. I'm like, oh gosh, okay. So I go downstairs and he's standing at the door of staging, again, arms crossed. Michelle, if you ever doubted that I love you, your doubts are gone. And he steps aside, and here's 3 Burlington Northern green and white locomotives in staging. You saw them earlier, they were sitting there. And he said, I had to make a decision. Am I prototypical, or are we about visitor experience? Because we've been having a lot of discussions about what are we as a museum. We had written that mission statement. And he said, we're here to bring people joy. And what brings people joy is what they know. And so we run Union Pacific, BN, and Rio Grande, all in that 1970s era, because that's the era of the layout. But people like it because that's what they know. And so it also morphed Dave to allow personal trains on the layout, because then that gives us a variety. We'll have a Pennsylvania passenger train out there sometimes, and it just, people ask questions and it allows them to engage with the person whose train it is. And so it's just a different level of experience for our guests. We have this scene, another fire scene, and I did not make a TikTok, but I need to. This building right here catches on fire and smokes and all this stuff lights up. And so we have 2 fire scenes. And then our downtown, Dave did something really interesting here. There's a lot going on in this scene, but this is a Faller car truck that we custom made. So we buy the Faller cars, they're all European, and we make them into American trucks. And you can see he's got a track here, and our trucks go both ways. And these light systems are controlled in the same computer system that controls where they go. So they stop at the traffic lights and they go around our city, and then they go back into the wall. And so it's just a fun feature that we have. We also have logging trucks on the mountain that are Faller cars made into logging trucks. But this city block right here is on a pole. And so we lift it up and we can turn any corner to the front. So all the wiring comes up through this pole and is loose. And so I made an I Spy with a sign that's on the backside one time, and I didn't know it turned. And it took me forever to find that sign, because I finally realized you can't actually see it because they turned the city block. So this, what you see on this corner right here, changes, which is kind of fun, a little bit different for our guests, and makes it impossible to find Carter's Little Liver Pills sign when it's not to the front. So here is a view standing above the loops. So here's that high bridge. And here's that town of Derry. And then here's the lowest level, the second, the third, and then it would come around, so, but to get up to the top, you go through this whole peninsula out here and come back into these loops twice. And so you're on the lower level, you come in, you helix a little bit, you go out on the upper level, you come in, you helix some more, and then you're at the summit. And then the rest of the layout is a much easier grade down over a whole lot of space. So the 5,500 square feet of layout is what you're seeing right here in this whole thing. And here's a real caboose to give you scale. It's sitting right there next to it. So I was going to talk a little bit about visitor experience. We have that mezzanine, which is wonderful because people can go up at the top and they can actually talk to the operators who are up here at the mountain level and ask them about what they're doing. And you get this really beautiful overview of the layout. And then here, I was talking about our aisles. When you look into our aisles, see how much space. We even have these stairs in the middle so people can get up and look higher, and we still have big walkways. So it's really nice to have all that space. This is Daryl. He loves to give tours to people and they love it. They love that personal attention. I think people like our museum so much because our operators are trained to talk to them. And especially if you bring your own train, you better be able to explain where it existed, what it is, and why you love it. Why did you buy that train? And tell people that story. And they love hearing about it, and it just creates interaction. This is the other thing we do that I brought to the hobby. I have a lot of friends in Star Wars, and I realized that we have 1:87 scale micro machine toys. So I created our first sci-fi days. in 2000, I guess it was 10 when I was first there. And I had the highest attendance day we ever had. We had 500 people come that day because they came to see Star Wars and they fell in love with trains because they didn't come to see model trains. They didn't know anything about model trains because this is a group of public that was introduced to trains through something else like sci-fi or dinosaurs or superheroes. And we do this because we're trying to introduce the hobby to the public. At our next local club meeting, I had someone come up to me, a master model redder from long ago, a grumpy old man. And he says, Michelle, you will single-handedly destroy this hobby doing crap like this. And I said, well, my job is sustainability of this museum and continuing the hobby to people who don't know it exists. So I'm going to keep doing this crap. So we get along today, but it was kind of funny. He was truly mad at me. He was really upset with me for doing this stuff. Not prototypical. And we keep doing this. I think it succeeds with us because we're always having fun. Like this one, we did a whole Star Trek theme. When Rapido sent us the ski train, I sent back a Star Trek video. I don't know if you guys watched the ski train video, but the last 7 minutes are me being an idiot in a Star Trek costume. But it was really fun. And we actually have the Star Trek train now, the Denbury Mint one that we run on sci-fi days. And, people come to see it and they just love being in the building and they find joy in modeling. So that's what we do. So that's kind of explaining why we do weird things for the public. But we are that interface. If you think about it, my job is explaining modeling to people who have never seen it before. So we explain the hobby to people who are new to it and we help them find their way into it. And then we try to connect them with local clubs or however they want to be involved. And our volunteer base is probably got 25 to 30% of people who never modeled before they walked in the door. And so it's kind of fun that, we have new people to the hobby learning all the time. So that's the part of the museum. Are you guys still good on time? I'll talk about how we maintain it. Okay, so this is kind of, I get asked this question a lot. How do you maintain a museum? So here's our structure. It takes a lot of volunteers. The staff is me, Amy, and 3 girls that run the front desk. So you got a staff of women. We finally hired Andy just this last year to run the computer trains because it was just volunteer based. So our staff is small. So to keep the railroad up and running, it's all volunteers. So we have our board of directors over the top. We have me, I report to them, and I manage the facility and the whole operation and make sure the lights stay on and pay the bills. And then we have our railroad manager. He has an assistant manager. He can't be reached. We have engineering technology team, electronics team. We have a little N-scale. So we have an N-scale team. It's a little piece of the OC&E. We have motor pool. That's those faller cars. We have a whole team just to manage those. We have fleet services. These 2 guys right here make sure that what goes on the layout is the right era and time, and they choose what trains go on there. And they make sure that our fleet is good. We have the right locomotives. What are we going to order from manufacturers when new products come out? What do we want to buy? We have a budget. We spend about $8,000 a year keeping the layout running and adding a few new things. So that's our annual budget's usually $8,000 to $10,000 just for the OC&E layout. We have a locomotive team, we have a rolling stock team, and we have a layout team. And then the layout team, they come in on Mondays and they clean the layout and they start at one end and they like micro vacuum the buildings, they clean everything and they just work their way around and then they start over again. They clean the track, they vacuum staging. So they fix anything that's broken. They're an amazing group of guys that come in on Mondays. And then this is how we do daily operations. So when we're operating for the public, we're going to have 15 to 20 guys in there. We have a dispatcher sitting in the dispatching office, and we created a day manager. And the day manager, unfortunately, wears a red shirt, if you know what that means in Star Trek. We put him in a red shirt so you can find him. And they're really responsible for the safety of the building and the people in it. So if we have a tornado, the day manager decides if we close. If there's an emergency, someone falls down and breaks an arm, the day manager calls 911. The day manager is in charge. You got a problem, we have a complaint. If I'm not in the building, the day manager is in charge. And so it's nice to have that. And we have a team of those guys that talk to each other and communicate together. So that's kind of what that is. So anytime we're open, we have someone in charge. If we, by chance, we don't, the dispatcher's in charge. So we kind of have this hierarchy of our emergency and disaster planning. Andy runs our computer trains, which we call docent operations. Bob Pilk schedules all our dispatchers, and we have a weekly crew caller. So every Sunday, an email goes out to everybody on our list. And it says, this week's operations will be Friday, Saturday, and we have a Sunday operations day. So tell us when you're coming. And if you want to come, you answer and you tell them if you're bringing a personal train, I'm coming Friday, I'm coming Saturday, I'm coming Sunday, I'm coming all three, whatever. Or you completely ignore it. If you're not coming, it's super simple. So you have to reply by Wednesday night, and Thursday morning, the confirmed crew list comes out so we know what to expect over the weekend, right? So if we only have 5 guys signed up for Saturday, what happens is everybody looks at the list and they go, oh, I should come in. And then we have 30 guys show up because they all think we're short, but that's okay. That way we really aren't short, but it's a great way to communicate with the volunteers, and they like the whole crew caller process. Any questions on that? How all that works?
If you ignore the email too often, do you get removed from it?
No,
Okay,
no,
good.
we have guys on there. We switched email servers. We used to could only have like X number per thing. And so now you can request to be off of it. And occasionally something will just get kicked out. Like GoDaddy will just lose people. So if you're not getting it, you let us know. But we have people who come once a year and they're still on the crew caller. So it's really your choice. Okay, so we call it the Disney effect. I called my last maintenance presentation the Disney effect because I think it applies. I was at Disneyland with my 2 little girls, and my daughter looks at me and she goes, Mom, I can't find a trash can, and you can't litter at Disney. You just can't, right? And I thought about that, and I'm like, well, you can't litter at Disney. Nobody does because it's so clean. And so if we keep our layout so clean, people won't mess with it. So I call that the Disney effect. It's something I made up. So if you clean it, they will keep it clean too. And I think there's some sort of mental thing about that. So we constantly clean. This is Skip. He was there. I'm sorry, this is Craig. He was there today actually working on trains. So he's individually cleaning a locomotive here. These are our cleaning cars that we do we run these daily. These are the ones that hold the denatured alcohol. And then that goes down on the pad. And this actually turns sideways and rolls behind it. These are those cut up little kitchen towels that you buy at Walmart, blue and white striped towels. And honestly, we just did something with these that I really want to talk about because I like this. We have a volunteer who has cancer and he can't come in anymore. And so we mailed him this cloth and these cloths, and he cut them, and it made him really happy to still be part of what we're doing. And so he mails them back. And so now we've been mailing him this stuff, and he cuts it and mails it back. But it's a way to keep him involved, and I'm really excited that we could do that. So this is our vacuum car. Have you guys ever seen these? We had to adjust ours and put a 9-volt battery because the one they had in it just didn't work. So we changed it. We kind of customized it a little bit. This is a Bright Boy. We hardly ever use this. We also have a magnet car, and I just couldn't find it to put it in this photo. But that thing is wonderful. If you don't have a car with the magnet on the bottom to pick up all the little screws and parts, that was a really good purchase. The first time we ran this vacuum, I swear we pulled a rabbit off the layout, like this huge ball of fuzz. So we run that one at least once a week now. So we have cards that we write up. Let me see if it's in these locomotives right here are staged there just to run the cleaning trains. So we had an overabundance of F units. So all of our cleaning stuff runs behind F units. So we just put ABA sets together and there they go. Here's another look at that area. This is where we keep real quick backup stuff you might need. Sometimes we change what train we keep up here. These are extra cars if you want to run some of the stuff. So yeah, we just have and this whole piece right here, because there's stairs over here, is hinged and you can pull it towards you so you can reach stuff and then it closes back. So of course we have a lot of extra scenery. We have 28,000 trees on our layout. That's Dave's best guesstimate. And Brooks, you were making trees. Imagine making 28,000 of them. It took him 5 years. And everybody that walked in the building, he'd say, here, sit down and make a tree. So we have 16,000 of these, 8,000 of these, 4,000 aspens. And so we have little groves of aspens, and you know how hard those are to make because you got to paint everything and you got to paint the little black lines back in them, and they take a long time. But he was mass producing his pine trees by using the stick with you tear up the cleaner wheel from a Zamboni, like a floor cleaner, and you tear that stuff up and then you spray it and you powder it. That's what these are. But he can make them quick and easy because he needed a lot of them. And then little bushes. And we keep some of this out, but our boxcar behind our building has a room of trees, just shelves of spare trees. So we have all that ready to go. We use bad order forms. We have bad order forms for cars and locomotives. We created a new form for scenery projects. And so these will be sitting out. We have places we put them. So when the crews come in, they can look at what needs fixed and what needs doing. We created this ourselves. This is our blue flag. It's the size of a locomotive. So in that picture where that Southern Pacific was missing, I should have put it there. But we just made these for fun recently. This is our workstations. And you'd think that Dave would have built a lot of space for us, but I don't know if you could see in the big picture, there's two kind of teardrop shapes in the layout at the end of each of the big peninsulas. These are our workrooms. So you come up the stairs and this is on one side and this is on the other, and you are inside the layout. And the computer screen sits there too, and the light panel. So this locomotive desk, this rolling stock desk, this light panel are all in the same room, and the computer desk, and it's tiny. So there's no space, but I guess that's modeling. If there was one thing I would change, it's this lighting system. It's horrible. Dave bought these barn lights at some yard sale or something, and he was first building it, and he was like, oh, great, I'll go ahead and put them up. So he puts all the lights up, and then he builds the layout. And guess what? This whole section right here is over the loops, and there's no way we can get our lift up there because he put steps up, and then this section right here is where the forest fire is, and there's a wooden ramp. So again, our lift can't go up it. So we have to use these tall sticks to try to get a light bulb out. And it's just really pretty terrible. This is the control panel for it. We used to could dim them when we had incandescent lights in there, and now we have LEDs and you can't dim them. So we don't get to dim our lights anymore. They just flash. But what it is there's a button here that controls this entire panel below it, all the lights. So when you come in, you push all these buttons at the top and it lights up all these bars. And then our layout is controlled here, and here's our rope lights. And so this huge lighting panel, it works, but if there was one thing I would do different, this is it. So this is our master computer. We were talking about those awesome machines. Those 5 identical machines look just like this with that floppy drive right there. And some parallel ports in the back. And I tease Randy about it all the time, but he ended up with these 5 identical machines. And so he put them on here. They run Windows XP. They never touch the internet, and they hardly ever fail. They really do pretty good. And so this is the desk that runs all that. This is something that I don't think people think about, but in Texas, you probably wouldn't need it either. But in Colorado, we don't have humidity. And so what happens is every now and then we'll have a humid day, and that will destroy the layout. So we have to keep 25% humidity in our building at all times. And there are times of the year our humidity is like 1% outside. So if we don't keep that up a little higher, all our track goes like this. So we have a very expensive humidification system that sits high on the wall, has this whole drainage thing in the corner, and needs a lot of care and upkeep, but it does save the layout. So this is just a slide. Dave thought he built the perfect layout, and then about 2 years in realized it'd been really nice if we had this track crossover right here. We really needed that. So when we shut down for COVID, we tore up a lot of the layout and redid a lot of stuff. Fleet management, I was talking about earlier. Oh, look, here's my BNs that Dave said he loved me right here. So fleet management is really important, and we have to make decisions now because Dave left the place to us, right? So we try to keep his thoughts and his plans for the layout balanced with a good visitor experience. And so this really is fleet management's job. But Dave, like most modelers, got down to the wire of when he was going to open the building. And he went, oh, I don't have all the cars I need for this train that I wanted to have. So I'm just going to throw this other stuff on there and we'll just use it. And so on his traveling layout, he had these the TOFC cars, the trailer on flat cars that I think they're 50-foot-ish, 56 maybe, with a single trailer, like a piggyback car. And he had them on this train right here, and it was called the Railblazer. And he had Southern Pacific on it. And in walks Ted Schulte, who worked for the Rio Grande, and he's like, what the heck is that? That's not the Railblazer. Railblazer had 83-foot flat cars. It had Rio Grande tunnel motors on it, and it ran in 1983. And so we had to sit down and go, do we change the name or do we change the train? And so fleet management made the decision that we love the name the Railblazer. We love the story, and people love the Railblazer that ran across the Moffett line in 1983. And Ted ran it. He was an engineer on it. And so we changed the train. So we bought all new cars, new locomotives, and now the Railblazer is correct, but it's not 1975, which is our year. And we just decided it's okay, because fleet management decided it's okay. It's our railroad, right? We can do what we want. So there's a few things like that. But it's just making those kind of decisions. They also decide we have summer trains. We have the Freedom train. We have the ski train comes out in the winter. So we have some seasonal trains. So it's a little different for the public, things like that. So that's kind of what fleet management does. I guess you'd say they're the people who make the railroad decisions now. And it's a team of two guys. So, okay. Any questions on any of that? Because I have a little slide thing next that's more of a video. Anybody have questions at that point? Okay, hopefully you all are still awake. I'm sorry. Okay, the next slide's really cool. And there's two different slides here with the build from plywood to finished. So they're just going to kind of morph through it. They're just photos I had, so I just put them into the slideshow. So you can see the plywood to the finished product. And Dave did hire out his bench work. He would not have finished in time if he didn't do that. There you can see the light panel. Do you see that in there? That's the control room. And then the computer sets right there. The locomotive desk is here and the rolling stock desk is there. And this is the cabinet of locomotives. It's a tight space. This one over here is the Faller car systems in that one. Okay, I have one more that shows you the build of the mountain. And I think the next one has there's the snow shed. See the snow shed go in. Dave made all of his own molds for making that rock off of pieces of coal from the coal company across the tracks. They give him a big piece of coal and he'd carve a surface and pour a couple molds, carve a new surface. And when it got too small, I'd go get another big piece of coal. And so all the rock in the building, the molds were made by Dave. So they're exactly what he wanted. And we have about 400 different ones. So, well, that's what I have. Does anybody have any questions or anything? I can stop sharing.
Michelle, this is Rusty Herman.
Yeah.
I heard you talk about cleaning your water. I live in West Texas where dust is a real issue.
Yeah.
What you said you got the cleaning material at True Value, or what is it you got? And could
it's Ace Hardware. We get it at Ace Hardware. Do you have those?
Not here, just True Value. But
that's the only place I found
it. An Ace Hardware.
I should take a picture of it. It's called plexiglass cleaner, and it's pink. It's pink and it comes in a spray bottle like Windex, but it's called plexicleaner. And we use it on our plexiglass too, because it does not scratch. It's non-abrasive 100%. And we just use soft cloths with it.
Yes, I understand that.
So, yeah. And so it's a pink bottle about this tall. And the only place I can find it is Ace Hardware. So
okay.
I bet Amazon might have it, though I've never looked there. They have everything, don't they?
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have questions? All right. Well, I hope you guys visit someday if you're ever in the area.
Well, I plan to sometime. So
It's a good place to go and see. I've been there twice.
You've been there twice?
Yes.
And I haven't met you then. I'm sorry. I hope you
Actually, you
enjoyed
did
it.
meet me. We went to
Did
lunch
I?
together when you came down.
We had lunch?
Yep.
Oh.
Went to Whataburger.
True Texas experience.
You went to, I got you when I was in Texas.
Yes.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I know. Okay. Now, I'm like, when did I meet you at the museum?
Yep.
Do you have?
And you walked us through. I got to play with the trains once, so I got to operate a little while. So it was one of those things that was fun. I was there with Dwayne Richardson, Mark Lachey.
You came with them.
Others.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Do you have any
And-
operational steam in 1975?
Well, we run steam all the time because we have that little rule about running personal trains. And we do. So here's another thing that happens to us. We keep, I should go back to that one slide if I can. In our staging yard against the wall, we keep what we call out of time passenger trains. And we keep always a current Union Pacific. Either the 844 is the Cheyenne Frontier Days train, or we'll keep an excursion big boy train out. Sometimes both. Because that's what our people know, and they stop there, and the steam crew volunteers. And so Ed Dickens will come in and want to run something. Well, I better give him a big boy, right? And so we always have either an 844 train or a big boy train out. And we have some volunteers who've custom built some of the cars in the heritage fleet. So we have an Idaho. Nobody makes an Idaho. I think somebody made it in brass forever ago, but so we have an Idaho now, so we can do the 2019 the promontory trip, so we can do that one. We can do different excursions throughout the last 3 years. So so we run steam. And then Jim Leonard, who is the conductor for UP Steam, he's the guy that travels with them as the conductor. He has the most amazing steam trains. He's got Little Milwaukee Road, and he's got all these different Wabash, and he brings all these adorable steam trains in that he's custom made. They're just beautiful. So you do see good steam. And I might have added a Colorado Midland to our stuff. We had a volunteer who passed away. Excuse me. And so he was we actually named a bridge after him. We actually have a Rick Inglis Memorial Bridge on the layout now. But I went to the family and purchased a Colorado Midland train that he had custom made. And so we have that in collection now too, so we can run that. And we have a lot of like Rio Grande, obviously, because that's what our guys do, a lot of Rio Grande modeling. I have a K36, but it's brass, so it doesn't run well on the layout. But and then I have some HO13 stuff, but we don't have any track for that. We need to get a narrow gauge layout. We have a lot of plans for the future. I didn't really go through them, but pre-COVID, we had a huge building plan planned for the museum. And after COVID, everything doubled in price. So our $6 million expansion turned into 12, and there's just no way that's going to happen, right? So we looked at our spaces and came up with what we're calling our outdoor spaces project. We have a lot of land. We own a lot of dirt, and we own an old warehouse behind our building. And so we're going to fence in our land to the south of the building. Actually, you know what? I have a slide. Do you guys want to see the pictures, or
No, go ahead.
Okay, let me go back and share this. It's at the end. I didn't show you youth programs, and then it's after that. So let me go share this again. Let's see if it'll let me do this. I think I have to click there. So this is our youth programs. I'll go real quick. We work with a lot of kids, and I do a lot of hobby tack. So we had 800 kids in our youth program during COVID when we were doing STEAM Kids Virtual Classroom. Every week we had about 800 kids watching our lesson and building with us. So it was fun. So this is our property. This is our building right here. And here's our box car that sits out back. We own this warehouse right here. And we recently got the city to give us this alley and this part of 11th Street. So now our actual subdivision is this whole piece right here. So we own a whole lot of dirt. And then we leased from Great Western. So this is UP's main line right here, and their siding and spur.
Michelle, I think you might need to swap the displays. We're seeing the presenter view. So we
You're
don't
seeing
see.
this one?
Yeah, so we don't see your mouse. Yeah, now we see your mouse. Yeah. I think
I
just
showed
in
it exactly like I did before. So what did I do wrong?
that's weird. Maybe if you go to display settings, it might say swap.
I'm gonna unshare it and try to reshare it again.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me go back and see. Maybe I picked the wrong screen. Let's try.
Yeah,
this
maybe
one.
so.
Is that better? Or are you still seeing me presenting?
No, it's full screen now.
This is full screen. Okay, so let me go back a slide. Oh, but now I have to click somewhere to make it work. There we go. Okay, so let's go back. This one, this is our building.
Okay.
This is our warehouse. This is our boxcar. The street right here is an alley owned by the city. And this right here was the street right of way for this street that no longer goes anywhere. So the city gave us this property and this alley. So we have this whole bit right here as our subdivision. This is the UP main line right here between Cheyenne and Denver. And we sit right on the 10th Street crossing. This track that comes right here used to be connected by a Y on the north side of town, but they disconnected it because they wanted to run blade trains through that Y and they wouldn't make it. So UP and Omnitracks, who owns the Great Western Short Line here, kind of went together and did a joint project and built this massive Y on the north side of town and cut off this track. So we went to Omnitracks and said, can we lease this land from you, this whole right of way? So everything in the orange from here to here, we leased from the railroad for $1 a year in perpetuity. So now we have dirt from down here at the bottom of the screen all the way up to 10th Street, 3 city blocks of dirt.
Wow.
So I can't build anything on it, but this gives me parking, drainage, areas to do stuff. We could put shipping containers out here if we need storage. We can do anything temporary. We can pave it, anything like that. So now we have all this land.
There's no way you could park like passenger or train museum equipment.
No, because I was so sad the day they cut our rail off. There's no way to get from this rail to any other rail. It's completely isolated.
you could probably ship it in. You know,
You could crane it. You could take a crane and you can move it from here to here.
and then crane it over. Yeah.
We can display things, and we can display things on this rail. We intend to put a caboose right here. There's going to be a Union Pacific caboose right here eventually.
Or just have UP put a crossover in right there.
Well, I had Ed talking. We were talking about taking one of the passenger cars, and we were going to actually lay in just some track to go from here to here, just panel track and just go across. But then we weren't sure if that would cost more than just taking a crane and like dink.
Right.
And then with COVID, it didn't happen anyway. And then the whole Silvis thing came up and we didn't get our car.
Yeah. So
the Selma is not coming here. It's going to Silvis. So, but the original plan was we were going to get the Selma, if you know what that is. So we looked post-pandemic. Let me show you the picture. This is what we were going to build. This was our dream.
Wow.
And our building ended here and our warehouse is right here. So you're looking towards the east. And our new entrance would be facing west. And we would have a 2-story addition. And these are real cars. They're like a half a car up here. And that's the hallway upstairs with real windows. I thought it was kind of fun. There's a lot of fun features in here. Like I love the clock tower because you could see it from our new hotel downtown if you were up on the top patio. So we wanted to do that. Just a lot of fun features. Well, this was $6 million in 2019. And in 2022, this would be 12. So that was the dream. So then we went back to our property design again and looked at it. And we were like, here's our building. We could actually fence here, fence in and fence here. And we have all this space that people could be in. And so I don't know if I have another slide after that one. Yeah, here's a better one. So we're going to fence along the tracks. Here's the UP tracks. So we've turned it. So north is now to your left. And we'll fence across to this big loading ramp we have out here and fence this in and fence here. And this becomes our garden railroad. And so we're putting a garden railroad between our buildings and we'll put a picnic area in here. And then people could rail fan out here safely because we could never let kids go out back. There was no fencing and they could just run out to the UP main line here. And so we'll allow people to go outside. And then we acquired an N scale that will go inside this warehouse. And our garden railroad will actually stage inside the warehouse. We'll have the doors that open and let trains go out and then they stay inside at night, which I think will be great. And then we looked at the front of our building and you were talking about dust. Dust is our hugest problem. We have a door that opens to the outside world with no airlock, no screen door. It's just the big metal door. And every time it opens, Weld County comes into the building with it, all the dirt and all that stuff. So with that humidification system, we can actually pump up the air pressure just a little bit. So when the door opens, a puff of air goes out and we try to keep the dust out. We actually do that, but it doesn't always work. And we get a ton of dust in the building. And so we were like, what can we do in the front to make this better? Well, we went to the city, and with city code, we can't put an airlock on. There's no way we can build north because of the sight lines for city code, but we can upgrade our entrance. And last October, I got a call from a man in Denver who was 91, and he's been a long time donor, and he donated these. So this is a full-size conductor. This is a 6-foot tall bronze, and he donated these bronzes. We just got them in, so I took a picture. They're in the warehouse. But they will go at the front of our museum. So we're redoing our whole patio, and there'll be bronze statues. This isn't quite right. This is the architect's drawing, but this will be all brick. And we'll have these 2 statues and some flowers and a rail and a fence so people can safely rail fan out front. So this gives you kind of the idea of what we're doing out there. And this is in process. We actually break ground on this in October, and then those statues will go in. And then here's our behind the building, our garden railroad will be here, and it'll go inside the building. And so it'll be a fairly large two level layout. And then we're planning in this area, we're actually planning a children's layout where kids can run trains, and maybe multiple scales on there, but we're not quite sure what we're going to do. But on this side, we're going to put something children can run that's outside. And then inside the warehouse, we have that N scale going in. So here's just another look. And of course, my architect doesn't know anything about trains, so he gave us a hopper instead of a boxcar, but that's okay. It's a car. So our boxcar would be there. Now, ultimately, this should be a caboose, like a birthday caboose. If we get one, then we have enough track, we could roll stuff down and store it further down and put something here. So, and then our entrance to the building is here. And yeah, so that's kind of our expansion thoughts. So since someone's been there, I thought I would do that. Show you those.
That's cool.
So I've been working on taking down power poles, making sure the sprinkler systems are sheathed underground. We need conduit. So, I've been very busy with that.
Yeah. Very neat. Has anybody else got any questions? And well, I think with that, I want to thank Michelle for presenting with us, and good luck with all the construction projects coming up. And so we I hope to get there sometime. It's a really neat place, and it's amazing all the work that he was able to build in such a short time too. Everything's so detailed and everything.
It is amazing. It's complete and done.
Yeah.
You know why? I forgot to tell you guys this. He wouldn't let anybody run a train until it was done. Because the guys were like, we should do some ops and play. And Dave's like, because then we won't finish the layout. So he literally would not let them run a train until it was done.
Wow. Dang.
Yeah, I know. Those guys were patient.
Yeah. Well, that's usually you get the track work on, then, make sure it's all bulletproof too. So, before doing
they did a little testing, but they weren't allowed to do op sessions.
Okay, good.
They tested some things, but they weren't allowed to full on operate on it.
Yeah.
So
cool. All right. I see Rusty Herman joined us from right before Michelle was presenting. So I know he's new, and he's communicated with me with email. So I wanted to introduce him. And Rusty, do you want to tell us a little bit about you since you're new here?
Well, thank you. We're in Alpine, Texas, out here in the top of Texas. Probably have the highest railroad model in Texas. I modeled N-gauge in the Great Northern, Spokane, Portland, Seattle, and Milwaukee, basically from Great Falls, Montana, through the mountains to Missoula, Montana for the Milwaukee, and to Spokane, Washington for the Great Northern SP&S. I've been in railroading model railroading since I was probably 3 years old on my dad's O-gauge, using Cargraves track and Lionel engines. and all around the basement in our house. And he was a master electrician, and he used to get old telephone equipment, relays, and pinball machines, and had all the trains starting and stopping automatically with relay equipment in those days, well before we got into the electronic area. Our next door neighbor back home was the chief electrical electrical operator, whatever they call it, for the Great Northern in Havre, Montana. And every time anyone came in from from St. Paul or anything on the Great Northern, he would bring them over and let Dad run the trains for him. My job was to hand my dad a screwdriver or a pair of pliers, and that's how I learned model trains. Been in O-gauge when I was little. Then Dad and we moved houses, started in HO, and then after the service, I was starting with N-gauge. And then later on, living in Houston, I had G-gauge in the backyard. And now out here, we're back into N-gauge. And we have enjoyed model railroading now for, oh goodness, I guess almost 75 years, and really enjoy it. My layout is not finished. I have all kinds of steam and diesels in the first phase of the diesel operation. And that's basically it. We've got a 23 by 13-foot room that we built inside a large metal building, and trying to keep the dust and that off of it is a full-time job.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining us, and hope to see you here in future meetings and stuff. So, and anyway, I think with that, one of the things that I did mention earlier is the LSR elections are coming up soon, and no Division 5. The director's for a 2-year term, so next year we'll be doing elections for that. And then a couple other positions, I actually don't have them in front of me right now. Let me see if I can actually pull them up real quick.
You want all the positions?
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, Jeff.
You got the president, treasurer, divisions 1, 3, 5, and 7.
Cool. Yeah. So
have you let Pete know about Division 5 yet?
Yes, I talked to him the other day. So
Okay.
yes, I plan to run again for that. So hopefully y'all will elect me, or and if you would like to run against me, I welcome it. So not always like competition. So feel free to reach out to Pete. What was his last name? I forgot.
Leach.
Pete Leach, yes. And then if you go to the LSR website, his contact info is there under the officer page. Sorry, what?
On the officers page for the nomination chair.
Yes, yeah, officers page. So go there, scroll down, nominations chair. It's got his email listed there. Send him an email that you're interested in running for any of those positions there. And of course, if you run for those positions too, I always like to remind people that that would count towards your AP certificate for official. And then of course, then you get volunteer points. I think also you could use as volunteer points. So, anything you do for your division or position there, counts as that. So, and then also we got the 24 convention we're working on, and actually not sure where it's going to be yet. We're looking at San Angelo, but we might be looking at some other cities as well, because we're price of the venues and limited availability of venues is kind of eluding us right now. So, but if you would like to volunteer for it, I'm going to be send me an email. I think in our next newsletter or the next month, if I can get, depends on when I can get it out. I'll have like a button on there that you can sign up to volunteer, so I can start making a list of people that need to volunteer for that. And then as soon as we get the venue nailed down and the budget set, then we'll the board will vote on that in the January board meeting, and then we'll kind of start really planning for it then. So be thinking about if you want to volunteer or anything, and what you can bring. And then also we'll be looking for clinicians too. So if you got a clinic or want to prepare for one, look for that. And then there's also the contest room. So you got probably less than 2 years to whip up some pretty good models to present in there. So anyway,
Where's the 2023 going to be?
20. Well, there's in 23 we're actually going to have the national convention in Grapevine, and the national convention is going to take place of the LSR regional convention. So since it's here in Texas, and it is also being hosted by Division 1 and Division 3 are the ones spearheading the committee on that that convention. So that's why we're considering or using that as our regional convention too. So if you go to 2023 Texas 2023 Texas Express .com. Yeah, I was going to say .org, but I wasn't sure that was right. You can go there and register. The registration's open for that, and it's going to be at the Gaylord Texan Hotel and Resort up there. And there is a special room rate on there that you can get with the hotel for that. And it's I think
it's 175.
Yeah.
I got to tell you,
Yeah.
though, I know that seems a little high, but that is a fantastic rate for the Gaylord.
Yeah, but normally you'd be paying like $200 to $300 a night there.
I just did a tourism convention. I'm president of the Colorado State Tourism Board, and we did a national tourism convention there in January, and we paid $250 a night, and we're the tourism people bringing them business.
Wow.
So I don't know how Mike got that rate, but I just thought I'd tell y'all, if anybody complains, no, this is fantastic. And he got the $25 daily fee, put in the $175, and I don't know how he did that either. But
and I think you get free internet and then water in the room too with that. What I saw on the website.
Parking.
Parking too. Yeah,
and parking. I mean, I don't know how he must have worked this deal like 10 years ago or something.
About 4 years ago, but yeah, it was did well, but just understand that for folks who don't stay there, it's $22 every time you come in and out
for parking. Yeah.
For
Now,
parking.
if you do stay there, you should go with me to the grocery store and get your own breakfast, though, because you'll save a lot of money that way.
Yeah.
Well,
So I plan to go buy some yogurt and bananas and put them in my room, because $28 for breakfast is out of my price range.
Yeah. Well, I just did the National Narrow Gauge in Tacoma.
Yeah.
And the hotel there was about the same price for, per individual. Of course, the thing is that you double up, get somebody else to share the expense with you.
Right.
But the meals, yeah. Hey, in case you guys hadn't dropped into your local Holiday Inn lately, it ain't cheap.
yeah.
No, and like even like DoubleTrees and everything is $28 at a Hilton. So yeah. So I stay at Hampton Inn level, so I get free breakfast, but that's to me.
Yeah. I struggled with it, but for $6 I get it out with toast and coffee, so I was okay.
Yeah. And honestly, the Gaylord's beautiful, and I love that the convention and the train show are both in the same place. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Jeff, you're hugely in charge, aren't you? You're doing a huge amount of work for this.
Chief.
Yeah. Well, I have a slave. His name is Joe Lysing.
Yeah. Oh, there he is. He's right there in the screen.
Yeah. He's my number one slave, and so I make him do a lot of things. But yeah, there's a lot of things going on. I mean, the clinic's going to start at 8 o'clock in the morning. That was one of the things that the NMRA has recently informed us. We were thinking about starting them at 9. I mean, I don't know about you, but I go someplace, I like to sleep in a little bit, or I like to even have, breakfast at my pace. But they're going to start at 9. Start at 8 in the morning and go all the way up to 10 o'clock at night.
I'm on the rail tours committee. And
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
You got your work cut out for you.
I got my hands full.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we got some great tours also. That was
if they all work out, it's going to be great. Most
Yeah.
of them are there. We're trying to get like hard commitments out of railroads. That's a little hard, but
yeah, well, we're expecting you to get the the big boy down there. So I mean, hey,
you know what? Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure it's going to be in Oregon at the same time. I think they're going to run the same tour next year that got canceled this year, which is a bummer because we could have at least had Ed come and talk or something. So I'm super bummed about that.
That would have been fun.
Another nice thing on the food subject is at the Gaylord, you're not limited to the hotel restaurant. They have basically a mall inside the hotel with lots of different eating options.
Yeah, they do. They even have the Alamo. You can go eat in the Alamo.
There you go.
It's pretty cool. And the Italian restaurant's actually really good. So.
Well, it is a resort hotel, so I mean, there are a number of amenities that it has. It's not. It is not like going to your Holiday Inn,
Right.
Or Comfort Inn or in the other places like it. It's got a lot more going for it.
And honestly, if you want to go into Grapevine, it's like a really cheap Uber. You just call a car. It's really easy. So.
Yeah, and it's a fun little. I'm gonna call it a little town, but they keep it that way, and it's in the Main Street area intentionally so that it appears small town.
Another nice
Okay,
thing
that's our commercial tonight.
Well, no, and one more nice thing about it is that as Michelle mentioned, everything, the National Train Show, the convention is all under one roof. So even though this is going to be in the summer in Texas, you never have to step outside. You can enjoy the air conditioning every single second of the experience.
Except between the door and the bus on the rail tour. But that's really not a far distance.
Just run.
It's a huge place too. You can get your steps in going from the convention to the.
If you can find, you're assigned your elevator,
train
and that's life saving right there.
Yeah.
So you get your room.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I think we'll call it a night and appreciate everybody joining. I'll keep the Zoom meeting on if we want to just chit chat or anything afterwards. So with that, we'll see y'all next month. We've got, so in October, we have James Regier, which has been on What's Neat This Week. And he's going to be talking about lighting. Probably he just did 2 different clinics at the National about lighting for locomotives and lighting for buildings. So we'll see which one we get. Maybe we'll get both. And he does some pretty fascinating work out how he can cram lights into little thing. He did a little track mobile, and it's amazing how all the lights and everything in it. So be looking for that. And then in November, we'll have Bernard Helen from miniprints.ca or .com doing the little 3D printed figures. And when you buy it from him, they come unpainted. So he'll probably be talking about best way to paint those, and then also answer any questions you have about 3D printing or models or or whatever he's got information on that can give you. So with that, we'll see everybody next time. Thank you.
Thanks, Brooks.
Yeah, thank you.
So long, Brooke.
Yep. Thanks, Brooks. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.